Well, let me tell you something, brother.
Snort, snort, snort,
Hogan. Drip.
snort, snort.
I got the drip. Go. Let's talk about yesterday, a little segment that I like to call, if I could click it, Phil's Day Off. Okay? Now.
So not only did we mess up putting the overlay on screen, but then we started the segment with a throat clear. We're off to a riveting start today.
First time that I really had a day off in 2 weeks. The week before was when I was sick, and that was the day when I had all my groceries getting delivered and everything. And then I ended up doing a night stream instead. You know, I didn't really have a real day off for 2 weeks. So
I can't stand this dude sometimes, man. You work from home streaming video games 6 days a week. That's a highly sought after position to be in. And yet he makes it sound like a burden that he's forced to carry. Ask anybody who works an actual job and they'll tell you that every single day of DSP's life is a day off. And that's made only more true by the fact that he doesn't even have to be entertaining while he plays games. Because being entertaining is actually a job. It takes effort to entertain a crowd of people. But DSP doesn't even do that. He bores people to sleep. And he says he didn't actually get a day off when he was sick because he had to get his groceries delivered. But that doesn't actually involve doing anything except for filling out the information on your phone and waiting for them to show up. So he's still got the day off, and he can't even say it's because he was sick, because when people are sick at a normal job, they take the day off. They wouldn't come back and be like, yeah, I didn't get the day off because I was sick. That's not how words work, you idiot. And that's just assuming that the person actually takes a day off when they're sick. Most people I know don't even bother. They're just going to work.
this was my first day off in a couple of weeks, and thankfully, I did not have to do too much in regards to like errands and things like that. Like a lot of these days off, I have to run around, I have to do appointments, I have to do a bunch of things, I have to cram them all to the same day. In this case, I really only had two things: grocery store and pet supplies.
Well, DSP, you don't have to cram every single thing into one day. You could absolutely do some of that during the week, before streams or in between streams. But you don't, because you can't be bothered because you're lazy. And look, it's totally fine if you don't want to do anything during the weekdays where you have to stream. I get it, sure, fine. Everyone has a schedule that they prefer. But don't sit here and lie about it and act like you can't do the things during the week, because you absolutely can. And definitely don't get on stream and act like it's anybody else's fault but your own that you have a schedule that you like to do. You're the only person that's in charge of your time, DSP. You do things when you want to do them.
And that was it. So it wasn't a huge deal. Sorry, I know that's disgusting.
Don't apologize if you're just gonna keep doing it. If you're gonna go out of your way to acknowledge that it's disgusting and apologize, then just solve the goddamn problem. It takes 15 seconds maximum for you to set up a hotkey and mute your mic on OBS. The fact that you haven't set up a mute button in 15 years just shows how inconsiderate you are to your fans.
After last week's debacle ordering groceries and having to pay extra money to have them delivered, only to have them be delivered super late and everything, I was not doing that this week. I said, I'm going to the grocery store to buy stuff.
DSP, could you make small inconveniences sound any more like the end of the world, please? Your groceries were late because you decided that you were gonna not put in the correct information on what store you wanted your groceries delivered from. It had to have been your fault 100%. There is no way in hell that whatever app you used or whatever service you used intentionally sent your groceries to the wrong store if it wasn't your fault. And it didn't even matter how late these groceries showed up, because you were gonna be home anyway, just like you're always home. Who cares if it's noon? Who cares if it's 4 p.m.? You're gonna be home all the same. And is he not quarantining anymore? Is that over? Has he given up on that? I thought it was 2 weeks. Has it been 2 weeks now? All that talk about not wanting to get other people sick, and he's just given up on the quarantine already? And I'm gonna backtrack here for a second because I totally forgot to ask. How the hell is he getting pet supplies once a week? Anybody who owns a pet has to be aware that he's going to the pet store way too frequently just for Jasper. I own 4 cats and we go through 1 bag of food a week maybe. And I'm not buying the pallet-sized bag of food. I'm just buying the normal-sized bag of cat food. And the litter lasts just as long. So what is he going to the pet store for once a week?
And it made sense too, because this week my wife wants to try out a couple of recipes that either she hasn't done in a very long time or like a new one. Like for example, she makes this really good Japanese curry, and we used to have it all the time, and then we haven't had it in, like, I'm serious, like a year. And all of a sudden we're like, dude, let's do the Japanese curry. Like, that's such a good dish. So I had to get those ingredients. I'm like, well, I want to see what they got there and pick from the shelves rather than me trying to guess online what they're going to have and try to order and deliver. And get this. Today, we are doing homemade deluxe baked nachos for dinner. Dinner nachos. Just listen to this.
Yeah, guys, just listen to this. Bill is gonna be doing nachos for dinner. Can you believe it? Isn't this the most exciting news that you've heard all day? He acts as though he's the first person to ever think about doing nachos for dinner at home. And I wonder if he's aware that Tevin making nachos was a meme for a very long time. So much so that he actually commented about making nachos for dinner under one of my videos not that long ago. Big ups for that, Tevin. I saw it. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
First of all, rather than a fatty bad meat, we're going to do ground turkey that's going to be seasoned and fried up with some like taco flavor seasoning. All right. And in it, it's going to have olives, pickled jalapenos, pico de gallo, queso, plus some Mexican blend cheese. Refried beans. Okay. All over I bought a giant bag of restaurant quality tortilla chips. And then we're going to have like sour cream on the side and stuff to dip it in too.
Well, I've never had turkey on nachos, but honestly, that doesn't sound very good at all. But what the hell are restaurant quality tortilla chips? Does it say that specifically on the bag when you bought them? It says restaurant quality? Okay, I've never seen that, but okay. And did he say sour cream to dip it in? I don't mean to judge how anybody eats, but who is dipping their nachos in sour cream? You don't just add a little dollop on top and kind of spread it around? Who's dipping nachos in sour cream? Maybe I'm the weirdo. Maybe I make my nachos weird. I guess let me know if you dip your nachos in sour cream, because I've actually never heard of that at all.
So I was like, we love nachos, but we don't really order them that often. We're like, why don't we make our own? And this way we could pick the ingredients that we want, right? So we're actually kind of having this really cool dinner tonight, and we've never done this before. We never made our own like this. But that's what I mean, like having to go into the supermarket and picking these ingredients out while I was there versus guessing what they're going to have, trying to order online, and then getting a bunch of substitutions or, it's much better that way. So this should be pretty fun today if she does make them, because I think she said she wanted to make them for dinner today. That'd be a good way to reward myself after my first ever session of Modern Warfare 3 multiplayer, have some homemade baked nachos.
It strikes me as really strange that DSP's never done homemade nachos for dinner before. I mean, it's essentially like doing a taco night, except instead of a tortilla shell, you put it on tortilla chips. It's not some revolutionary idea that he's come up with. Like I said, it just strikes me as strange that a 41-year-old man has never made homemade nachos before.
Should be pretty good, but anyway, so that's pretty much what I did with the grocery shopping. We needed some pet stuff for Jasper and stuff like that. So overall, I was out like maybe 2-3 hours yesterday doing that stuff.
See, and this just goes to show you that DSP cannot utilize his time effectively. This dude wants to talk about not having days off and always having to do things on his day off, but then all he has to do is go to the store and go to the pet store, and he manages to take 2 or 3 hours to do that. If you make a list before you leave the house, you should be able to go to the store and beeline for the items that you need and be in and out pretty much within the hour. And then how do you even wind up spending an extended period of time in the pet store if all you're going for is pet supplies like food and litter? That is actually just straight to the items that you need and get out. There's no looking around at anything. That's silly. I don't know, maybe I'm too efficient when I go to the store, but I really think that DSP would benefit from treating a store trip like that.
Outside of that, we actually did a little bit of house cleaning, and we did manage to get Like a Dragon Gaiden. It did show up on Game Pass yesterday. It was so weird that it never showed up for preload ever. It only showed up once it was live and available on Game Pass. Then you could download it, but it was never like available beforehand to preload. So we did load it, but then my wife ended up not really feeling like playing it yesterday, so I didn't get spoiled or anything on the game.
I mean, truly first world problems, guys. He couldn't preload Like a Dragon Gaiden. And look, I get it if you have terrible internet. There was a point in my life where it took me about a day to download Half-Life 2 on a laptop so I could play it. But that's not DSP's situation, or at least I hope it's not. He does pay for 2 separate internet lines, one of which is a business line. But because DSP is willing to talk about any mundane thing on the planet, he's going to tell you all about how he wasn't able to preload Like a Dragon Gaiden. Like anybody gives a shit. And then she didn't even care enough about the game to even play it yesterday. So talking about it was a complete waste of time. But the part that stuck out to me was saying that she didn't bother playing it so he didn't get spoiled on the game. Knowing that he was going to play it for the stream, was he really going to sit there and watch her play it and get spoiled on the story or whatever and actually experience the game before his audience got to see him do it? Because that would be a strange thing for this guy to do, because he's always going on about how he goes into every game blind and he doesn't look anything up and he stays spoiler free all the way up until he plays it for the first time.
We ended up watching a lot of someone else playing Alan Wake 2. And let me tell you guys something, and we'll talk about this because I want to give you my final thoughts on the game. But the whole point of Alan Wake 2, all right, is that there's 2 protagonists, and you can switch between them on the fly. And when you do that, it creates variety and it makes the game better, all right? We're watching someone who literally, they claimed they were going to do that, and then they proceeded to play with one of the characters only for like 10 hours, and it makes the game so fucking boring because you're doing the same gameplay over and over and over with no variety, and it makes it feel very boring.
I'm so happy that we could get another segment of DSP watching somebody else's content and shitting all over it because it's not exactly the way he played the game. Yes, DSP, somebody's gonna play one character over the other for an extended period of time. That's gonna happen. I'm sure that there's a lot of normal people who probably played the game like that. And while you say that it introduces variety, some people don't like their gameplay mechanics changing up like that in the middle of the story. So they might do exactly what you're talking about and just play one character for an extended period of time and get used to it and get as far as they can and then go do the other thing. The same way that some people save all of the side content till like the end of the game or after they beat it even, and some people do all of the side content they can as soon as it becomes available. That's one of the great things about playing video games is that you get to kind of make your own experience. But of course, because it's not exactly how DSP would have and did play the game, he's gonna hate all over this person for it. And of course, he's not gonna name drop. He'll name drop every single content creator under the sun to start drama, except for when he does these segments where he critiques other people's gameplay, because then you would be able to go look it up and verify. And we all know that DSP does not want anybody looking up anything to verify. I mean, you saw how well that went when he was talking about how packed his MagFest panel was. Proven wrong in an instant.
I was thinking in my head, you know, that's exactly why Alan Wake 1 wasn't as good. Because in Alan Wake 1, you're just playing as Alan Wake. It's one style of gameplay, there's no variety to it, and once you get halfway through the game and you realize this is the whole game, you get bored. With Alan Wake 2, because you have the two protagonists and because you can swap between them, that's really where it excels, in my opinion. So, what's weird about that is, why would you choose not to switch when it's a gameplay mechanic that's in there, right?
I mean, there could be a plethora of reasons why someone would decide to play one character for an extended period of time. Maybe he didn't like one of the characters. Maybe he didn't like the story that was going on with one of the characters. Maybe he preferred one gameplay style over the other. The first thing that comes to mind when he talks about character switching being a mechanic in a video game, so why not use it, is GTA 5. And I'll tell you straight up, I didn't like most of the characters in GTA 5, and I pretty much just played as Franklin as much as possible. I thought Michael was kind of a whiny baby, and Trevor was just cringe. If DSP saw my gameplay, he'd probably wonder why I'm not switching characters all the time. Because I pretty much only played as the other characters when I had to do missions, or had to do their side content. But as far as free roaming and just having fun in the world, always playing as Franklin. And I don't agree that games need that kind of variety when you play them. I'm totally okay if a game wants to hone in on one style of gameplay and just be good at it. That's fine, you can do that. But DSP knows that his dents can't focus for that long if there's nothing exciting happening on the screen. So of course he loves that he could just change the gameplay on a whim. That way he could keep it fresh and new for his audience's ever-waning attention span.
So we're watching this guy play, and he's just like, not switching. And we're like, this is going to be so boring. He just keeps doing the same thing over and over. Why? I don't understand. I don't know. And it's funny because, again, so many people criticize my playthroughs, right? And they say that my playthroughs suck. And then I watch these other people, I'm like, these are way worse than mine. They really don't try to make their playthroughs interesting in any way. Imagine if I played Alan Wake 2 and I literally just played with Saga the entire fucking game and never swapped. Wow, wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be fun gameplay? Wouldn't you be bored to tears?
DSP, unfortunately, I caught some of your Alan Wake 2 gameplay. And just like always, it was terrible. I was bored to tears. I'm not lying when I say that it was an entire stream of him just running around in the woods trying to solve puzzles. And then every once in a while, there was some combat, but it was just DSP shooting at a guy who was really fast for some reason. I don't know, I missed the context. There was no interesting story elements that he did. There was no interesting commentary. He did in fact play as the same character the entire time I watched. And he wants to complain about other content creators' content, but here's the thing, DSP, you can always just choose not to watch them. And I know that that's rich coming from me, but shut up, we're not talking about me right now.
So, I don't know, man, but this is what other people do, and then people say that I suck. So that's why I just don't listen to the bullshit anymore. I know that people have just been nitpicking me for years and years, because I do my best to try to give you guys variety. When I play a Soulsborne game, I try to swap weapons, show you different builds, show you different play styles, show you variety.
Yeah, that might mean something if you were actually good at the games, though. But you're not. You're dog water at Souls games, so you constantly switching weapons or trying new builds is either you just being handheld the entire time or you just making dog shit builds. And somebody making a horrible build is not entertaining at all. Unless, like I said, they're actually good at the game, in which case it might be entertaining to see someone use a terrible build and still be good at the game. But of course, there's things that are more important in gameplay than the actual gameplay and the variety of it. Because I'm sure everyone is is well aware by now that the content creator and the entertainment that they provide during their content far supersedes any sort of gameplay at all. That's why there's content creators that can play the worst games on the planet and still have fantastic streams. Because if we give DSP the benefit of the doubt and say that that guy was playing one character for an extended period of time and it was super boring, right? Was that content creator being entertaining while he was playing? Was he saying things that were entertaining his audience? Because if he was, that's all that really matters. People would actually watch a stream of paint drying if their favorite content creator was providing colorful commentary in the background.
When I play a game with character swapping, I actually try to swap the characters to show you variety. Like, that's the point, right? So anyway, yeah, we watched a lot of that, and did we do something? I felt like there was one other thing I wanted to tell you guys about. Oh, I tested Modern Warfare 3. Now, I gotta call out a big bullshit story, all right? So, if you remember, earlier this week, okay, all these news stories came out about Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, and the news stories basically said, oh, Modern Warfare 3 is a huge hard drive hog. If you want to play Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, this game takes up over 200 gigabytes of your hard drive space no matter what format you play it on, and it doesn't care about your other games. It requires you to waste that much space. It's crazy, right?
I can't wait to hear how this is actually not the case and everybody was lying except for Phil.
And everyone reads this as fact and says, wow, that's terrible. I mean, why would it take up so much of your hard drive space? What a hog. That's really messed up. The whole story's a lie. Yeah, the whole fucking story was a complete and utter lie. How do I know? Because last night, I downloaded and booted up Modern Warfare 3, okay? Here's how it works. You can choose what content you want to download in Modern Warfare 3. Oddly enough, when you buy Modern Warfare 3, they allow you to download Modern Warfare 2. Why? Because it's the same game. Now, do you have to download Modern Warfare 2? No. You don't need it at all, but it's there and available. You can choose to actively download it if you want. You just don't have to. Okay? When you're downloading Modern Warfare 3, it actively has multiple downloads available. Multiplayer, Warzone, Campaign, and these 5 add-on packs. Each one of those segments I just described is around 20 to 25 gigs in size. So if you install all of the pieces of Modern Warfare 3, it's around 100 gigs. Then there's these 5 add-on packs, and they're only 10 megabytes each. So I don't even know what the hell they are.
Keep in mind that he just said if you download all of the parts to Modern Warfare 3 that it's only around 100 gig. It will become very important shortly. And while I do appreciate larger games allowing you to pick and choose which content you do and don't want to download if you don't intend on playing some of the content and saving you that hard drive space, the fact of the matter is these games are still absolutely huge. And in Call of Duty's case, it has no reason to be. Because while Call of Duty looks great, it doesn't look so much better that it should be like 4 times the size it was back in the day. But like I said, keep in mind that he said that if you download all of the parts, they're only about 100 gigs.
Okay, but that's what's available. So what did I do? I said, well, what am I playing today? Well, all I want to do is play the multiplayer. You know, eventually I'm going to get to Warzone, and I don't know if I'll ever play the campaign. You know, the reports are that the campaign of this game is terrible, and I'm not really caring that much about it. I thought that the Modern Warfare 1 reboot campaign was decent and good. I thought the Modern Warfare 2 campaign was meh, not that good. I've heard the Modern Warfare 3 campaign is atrociously bad.
But DSP, the same people who were telling you that the Modern Warfare 3 campaign is bad are the same people that were telling you the size of the game. So why would you believe them now if you've already debunked them once?
So I'm like, I don't want to download that. So all I downloaded was the multiplayer and the 5 add-on packs. The multiplayer, I'm not kidding you, 20 gigs. And then I added the add-on packs. That was it.
So he just said that he downloaded the multiplayer, which was 20 gigs, and then he downloaded the 5 add-on packs, which he said were only around 10 megs per piece. So all in all, we should have just over 20 gigs or something like that, right?
And I think, okay, I take it back because there's a base game download as well. So it might be like another 20 gigs.
Okay, so there's a base game download as well, so we'll add another 20 gigs. We're a little over 40 gigs already. But that's fine, games are huge now, they look really good, and that's just the multiplayer 40 gigs. I'll totally accept that, because anything under 100 gigs for a game, I'm totally okay with.
So I think all in all, actually, I can actually tell you. Here, if I go on here, oops, I booted the game by accident. That's not what I meant to do. If I go to My Games and Apps, and I go to Call of Duty, Manage. Okay, so right now, with the multiplayer only installed and those add-ons that were necessary, okay? The game is 133 gigs.
And that is astronomically higher than the 40 gigs that you estimated, DSP. But at this rate, you've only installed the multiplayer, you're at 100 and some gigs. You're right on track to hit the 200 and some gig mark between Warzone and the campaign. And I think that people should take that into consideration because it used to be that games came as one whole package. You used to buy the whole game and have to download the entire thing. And a lot of games are still like this. So like I said, while it's appreciated that you get to pick and choose the content that you want to download, it doesn't make it okay that your game is 200 plus gigs now. For actually no reason, by the way, because like I said, the game doesn't look so good that it justifies that size. The campaign is not so large that it justifies that. There's no reason that just the multiplayer component of that game should be 100 gigs by itself.
On my Xbox Series X. Okay? So that's being matter-of-fact honest about it. Now, if I downloaded Warzone, it'd probably be another 20, 30 gigs. If I download the campaign, it'd probably be another 20, 30 gigs. But that's because they're all separate. They're not even the same product. Is Warzone the same as multiplayer of Modern Warfare 3? No, they're not the same game. It's different modes of the same game, but they're definitely not the same gameplay. Is the campaign the same? No, of course not.
So after being proven wrong, he's totally coping now. Because he told you it was only going to be about 40 gigs, and then he went and looked and it was 100 plus. Because obviously you don't download a game in its full size. Of course it's compressed when you download it. But his cope is that they're not the same game. They're different modes of the same game, but they don't have the same gameplay, so it's totally fine. But DSP, you bought one game and you got the campaign, the multiplayer, and Warzone all in one package. They are all in fact the same game. Whether you decide to download all of them or not is entirely up to you. But you should be able to download the entire game that you paid for and not spend a quarter of a terabyte on it. That's absolutely absurd and unjustifiable in every sense of the word, especially when a lot of these consoles only get released with terabyte hard drives. So you can actually have Call of Duty installed and what, 4 or 5 games more than that? I don't know why he's trying to make excuses for Activision. This seems like such a weird stance for him to take, considering that he's always been Mr. Anti-Big Business. But of course, DSP is a consumer, so he's gonna do what he does and consume. He's gonna buy the game, he's gonna hype it up because he's gonna play it, and then he's gonna shit all over it when he does play it, and then act like he hated it the whole time and he told everybody all of the things that were wrong with it and nobody listened to him and they totally lost their way when it came to Call of Duty. That's why I don't even know why he bothered picking up the game to begin with, let alone pre-ordering it, because he does this with every single Call of Duty. But DSP is an absolute mark and he fell for it. They put in classic Modern Warfare 2 maps to appeal to people who played Modern Warfare 2 back in the day, and DSP totally fell for it like he always does with every marketing gimmick. Thanks for the money, dummy.
So the entire story is a lie because guess what you can do? You can boot up just the mode you want and play it. I know because I confirmed it last night. On my day off, I booted up Modern Warfare 3 and I went to multiplayer. And of course, I turned on all the settings so there's no pop-ups and shit, which is good. We got it already ready for today. And I booted it up and it worked. I was like, so let me get this straight. 130 gigs on my hard drive. I can play it. It's not 230, 260 gigs. They lied. And the answer is yes, they lied.
No, they didn't. The game in its entirety is 200 and some gigs large. You're an absolute buffoon if you think that just because you downloaded a fraction of the game, that the game in and of itself is not as large as it actually is. And that's completely ignoring the fact that you told us it was gonna be about 40.
All of these fucking websites, okay, all these news websites, they're all going for clickbait stories now. Every one of them is going for a clickbait story because they don't have news anymore. They're literally drama sites and not true gaming sites or even true news sites anymore. They just care about getting clickbait views for their fucking ads.
So I did the thing that DSP always refuses to do, and I just looked it up. I typed in how much space does Modern Warfare 3 require? And the earliest article I could find on the first page of the results, and you know I'm not going to the second page, was on October 30th. And in the article, it specifically states that if you want to play the campaign, it's about 130 gigs, including Call of Duty HQ. So in that very first article that I was able to find from October 30th, it very clearly specified that you could download at least just the campaign by itself, and that it was already going to be 130 gigs, including Call of Duty HQ, which absolutely counts towards the game in my eyes because I wouldn't have it installed unless I was going to play Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, which I'm not because I'm not buying that piece of shit. So I really don't know what DSP's talking about when he says that articles are just going for clickbait talking about how large the game actually is. Because in the one article that I'm going to use as an example, it clearly doesn't do that. But I don't think that DSP actually clicked and read any of the articles at all. He just looked at the headline because obviously they titled it what the full size was going to be for the entire entire game. And he didn't bother reading the article and actually finding out that he could download them separately and the size of each segment of the game. But this is a classic DSP moment where he just read some Twitter post, or he read the headline and thought that he automatically knew the entire story and took the opportunity to shit on some games journalism site that he doesn't know anything about.
So they all reported this false article because every one of them did it. It was like every major outlet reported this a few days ago. Oh, you need 260 gigs to play Modern Warfare 3. It's a complete lie. You download what you want, you play what you want. Sure, if you're someone who's literally going to be playing the campaign, Warzone, and multiplayer all at once, then maybe it's 260 gigs.
And that's the actual size of the game, you idiot. Just because you're going to be personally refusing to play parts of a game that you paid for already, doesn't mean that other people are. And like I said, in the earliest article that I could find published on page 1 of my search results, they specifically stated that just the campaign was X amount of gigs. So if you actually clicked on the article, there was no confusion at all. You could say that they're trying to clickbait, and sure, that's plenty scummy, but to sit here and act like they straight up lied just isn't true.
Who the fuck does that? Right? Who the fuck does that? And the other thing is, if you're playing the campaign, you finish it, you delete it. Why are you gonna leave the campaign on your hard drive? You beat it, it's done, fucking get off my console, right? So what are they talking about? And it really pisses me off because I'm tired of this bullshit drama news. It's not real.
Well, DSP, not everybody is like you, just trying to get their games off of the conveyor belt as fast as possible. Some people take quite a long time to beat something like a campaign, and some people like to play the game multiple times or try and get all of the achievements. So the game in its entirety being an absolutely astronomical size is, again, kind of unjustifiable. And why does it affect you at all? You don't care how much space it takes up. It was never a concern for you, so why did you care at all? And what do you mean drama news? What is drama about them just stating the size of the game in its entirety? There's nothing wrong with that. They're just telling people how large the game is if you just downloaded the whole thing, which games usually are downloaded in their whole entirety. And I'll say it again, it's absolutely fantastic that they let you download the different components that you actually intend on using. But it would be made even better if the actual sizes were something reasonable. They're just not. As it is actually just a band-aid over an axe wound, which DSP you should be very familiar with on account of the axe that you keep by your door for home defense.
I'm tired of the bullshit. So anyway, I'm ready to go for today, and I did test this last night. That's why I wanted to let you know. I spent the time. I was like, let's get this going. Let's make sure this works today. And I was like, well, what do I got to download? And I get it all set up. I'm like, so it's completely wrong what they said. Like, not even close to what they were reporting.
No, it's exactly what they reported. You just didn't bother read what they reported in the article. You just read whatever Twitter headline you saw and just went with it and decided to get upset about it. So just like everything in your life, you are the one to blame for this. You are the reason that you're upset because you can't even bother doing the basic research about things that you're going to talk about on your show.
Anyway, so that's really my day off. I don't really have much else to say about my day off. It wasn't the most eventful day. At the same time, I needed a more relaxed day after the insanely stressful week to week and a half I had being so sick. It was appreciated to spend some time with my wife, watch some Alan Wake, have some food. And we ordered, of all things, we ordered sushi for dinner.
You remember when he was going on and on about how he was going to be set back financially because he was sick that week? And it wasn't even a week, it was 3 days, but regardless, he was talking about how he was going to be set back financially. And he got on stream begging for more tips, more memberships, more engagement because he needed to make up that money. And oh my God, the chargeback. Then the dude comes back from his day off and he tells you not only did he eat out, but he specifically got sushi. Now, I don't know about where all of you live, but where I live, it's not exactly common that you get very cheap sushi. I mean, it definitely happens. You can do it. But typically, if you're gonna get sushi, you wind up paying a pretty penny for it. So after all of that begging, this guy not only goes out to eat, but then he winds up spending enough money to go get sushi. A far cry from as poor as he's claiming to be.
My wife was craving sushi, and it's funny because she was basically saying, that she wanted to prepare for Like a Dragon Gaiden, and she's very excited for Like a Dragon Gaiden. She loves the series. So she was feeling some kind of Japanese food, and I said, well, there's various things we can order. We can get like a teriyaki from somewhere. We could do like a ramen from somewhere. But we're thinking about let's get sushi. So we ordered some sushi, and we got this one kind that it was interesting because it was salmon, but it was also shrimp tempura, and it had like mango on top with like a chili sauce. It was like a completely unique combination, and we really liked it. We thought it tasted really good. So anyway, excuse me. Yeah, that was my day off yesterday. Not super eventful, all right? If you can bear with me while I blow my nose, I'll be right back, and then we'll continue. I hate this cold.
I'm glad that we could finish this on the sushi segment with the throat clear combo. But that's gonna do it for today's video. Hopefully you all enjoyed watching DSP be proven wrong in real time, and then shamelessly coping about it while defending Activision. Of course, another big shout out to Snort Hogan. As always, I appreciate the clip, brother. Thank you, thank you. And big ups to all of you guys for watching, especially those of you that have made it this far. I really appreciate it. Hopefully I can catch all of you guys in the next video, but until then, make sure that you check out other detractor content and dive deeper into that Snortex.